Listen!
Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo podcast. My name is Philip Mewson, and today I'm joined by Per Schneider, Brendan Graber, and Zachary Ryan. How's it going, everyone?
Good. Very good.
Yeah, having a good week?
Yeah, I got rained on my walk into the office this morning, but it's okay.
Oh, that's okay.
Feel good.
You still look really pretty today.
Moist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, your hair is very...
Thank you. It's very greasy looking, but that's all right. We're going to get through this together.
Brendan, it's really nice to have you here with us today.
Good to be back.
Brendan is our Kirby Star Allies reviewer, which is exactly why he's here. We're going to be talking about that later in this show today, which is very exciting, amongst other games we've been playing. But before we get into that stuff, let's go over some of the news that has been going on in the world of Nintendo and Switch. First and foremost, probably one of the bigger stories this week, there was a massive Nintendo Switch firmware update today, right? Or not today, this week. Yeah, exactly. We got 5.0. A little underwhelming for a lot of people, I would say. But it did add Facebook and Twitter friend suggestions. There's like 24 new ARMS and Kirby-themed user icons, as well as the ability to filter news content from specific channels or just unread news, which is cool. And then additionally, digital purchases have been made that are made via PC or smartphone or tablet will begin downloading sooner than they have in the past. So it's like, that's kind of what we've noticed as users.
Have you guys bought anything through smartphone or tablet or PC?
Never.
Yeah, I've only gone through the store, so I don't really know what that interface looked like or how fast or slow it was.
I have on Xbox, but it's just never come up because I usually bring this thing.
Yeah,
so I
exactly. I know that it sucks on PlayStation. Like, it's super hard to tell. Like, it's easy to purchase stuff, but then it's really hard to tell like when it's downloading or when it's not. So if you guys are using it out there on your Switch, like to buy stuff through the Nintendo app or on your PC, let us know how that works, because like I've not messed with it.
But it's great. I mean, obviously it's great when you're traveling and your Switch is at home.
Totally.
The problem is I always have my Switch with me.
Exactly. It's not a problem.
Yeah, like
Problem solved.
I don't need to remotely download anything. I just have it.
Yeah. Oh, la-di-da.
Yeah. I know, right?
But yeah, it was a small update. Obviously, they didn't make a big spiel around it either. It's just kind of, to me, it sounded like it was mostly to fix some security issues. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's essentially what this update was, because it was a massive update. I mean, there's a lot happening here. We just, as normies, as they call them,
A superficial security unconcerned citizen.
Non-hackers or computer efficient people or whatever. There have been massive security changes underneath this update, and it's specifically to sort of avoid the vulnerabilities of the Switch in relation to the Tegra processor and how vulnerable that's become.
Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff happening.
Is it concerned identity theft, or is it more so like hacking the
Just
system itself?
hacking the system.
Okay.
When can I mine Bitcoin with my Switch?
You can do that right now.
So there were a couple. I mean, obviously, if you haven't updated your Switch, do it. Right, just go into your settings and do it. The other update is you can update your Joy-Con.
Yeah.
How long did that take you, Per?
It took a long time. I had like this giant mountain of Joy-Con in front of me on the table, and I would just attach them. So what you got to do is you got to attach them, and then you go into the menu, and there's an update controllers option. It goes really quick.
It's not an auto update feature. Like if you snap the controllers on, it just doesn't auto update them.
I don't know. It may do it for your first set, although I don't think so. Nintendo's really polite about that stuff. They don't want to keep you from playing by making you update something. But if you haven't done it, a lot of these updates behind the scenes, Nintendo doesn't always disclose what's in it, but usually it's stability. So to fix some of the issues, if you remember like the launch problems with Joy-Con desyncing, all of that stuff. So make sure your controllers are up to date too. Those are awesome, by the way.
Thank you. Tom Marks made these.
You get some custom see-through
That's
blue
a classic
ones
Tom
there.
Marks job.
That's like Tom Marks' job.
Nice.
The blue in the back and then clear blue in the front.
Oh, that's really cool.
Just see him over there with his bow ties, sweating, toiling over Joy-Con.
Yeah.
So onward from there, Super Smash Bros. For Switch has been in the news quite a bit. It's the talk of the town, you could say. So Sakurai has come out publicly on Twitter and said that he has been working on the game in silence for a very long time.
It's pronounced
Zachary.
Zachary.
Sakurai.
That's Zachary. Sakurai.
Here I am.
Yeah, Sakurai. So he's obviously a very hardworking man.
Ridiculously hard work.
Yes.
Didn't he say something a couple years ago about how like his wife left him over like the amount of time time that he had developed. Like basically, the development of Smash Brothers has just made shambles of his like personal life.
I think it like ruined his hand for a while. He couldn't like hold a controller.
Yeah, Smash Claw.
Smash Claw.
Yeah.
Like I know everyone was looking forward to like the Smash weekly updates of like who gets announced, but I just want an update from Sakurai saying I'm okay. That's all I want every week.
This week's update, I'm still okay.
That's his Nintendo. His Sakurai Direct is just hit like a video of him on Twitter, just being like, "Hey,
no carpal tunnel.
I'm all right.
Good, yeah."
Yeah, so I have a question for you guys. I know we talked a little bit about this last week during our last show, which was live. And we the question was brought up, is this a port of Smash for Wii U or is this a brand new game? So
I think it's a new game that uses uses some of the graphics and feel and setup from Wii U.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's where you stand on
I think we're going to see a lot of repurposing of assets from the Wii U version, but I think this is going to be like a completely new game. I think people are getting hung up because at the end card of that teaser, you know, they had a copyright original game, Nintendo and HAL Laboratories. That, to clarify, that literally means the original rights to Smash Brothers belong to Nintendo and HAL, not that this is an original game. A lot of people were saying like, of course it's original, it says so right there, but that is just a copyright thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this is not an original Switch game. So
yeah, I do think the way they titled it, like when we got Mario Kart Deluxe, they weren't afraid to say, hey, this is straight from Wii U, just with some better stuff. And the way they kind of announced, like, oh, it's Smash Brothers with a different logo set, different music in the opening.
I figured they would have put DX on it or something. Right?
Yeah.
Also, it's so, like, that teaser was so dark compared to, like, the one for Wii U.
Yeah.
It's like Animal Crossing is like, hey, you're invited to go Smash with us.
Can
And
we
it's like,
all
you're all gonna die.
Can we all agree that those inklings definitely got killed?
Oh yeah,
Like those two squid kids are dead.
it's like the last thing you see before you die. It's the giant,
just
like,
the
glowing-
giant Smash logo. Yeah.
So at the very least, remember that when the last Smash Brothers came out on two platforms at the same time. So you had a 3DS version and you had a Switch version,
Which were very
Wii U
disparate
version.
versions.
And they had some different levels and music and stuff. And so at the very least, I'm hoping we're getting more of that stuff combined in this version. So
May I tell a story?
Oh, absolutely.
So last week I had to fly.
Anecdote.
Last week I had to fly to New York for a last minute meeting, and the day that I booked my tickets, Nintendo announced that they're going to have this direct, and you guys started kicking around the idea of like doing a live recap, and I knew in my gut, I was like, they're gonna start announcing crazy stuff this year, and I'm not gonna be able to be on the show. And I went to the airport that day, and we all loaded on the plane. And as we're pulling away from the terminal, we hear this loud like ka-chunk, and the air conditioning system in the plane just stopped working. So we had to sit on the tarmac for like an hour and a half. So my flight was delayed. I watched the entire direct on my phone. So I could have been here and participated, and there were so many announcements that I had been waiting for, like Captain Toad coming out, like more info on Dark Souls. That I was just like so mad that I missed.
were you
last
wearing
week's
headphones?
episode.
And
Yes.
Were you going like, ha ha? Were you doing Zach Ryan laughs
of course.
on the
Yeah.
plane? And people are like, what's wrong with that
I
guy?
don't know. Who is this dude?
Looking at some weird little squid girl in a bikini. This is creepy.
That was me when they had the Game Awards and they announced
The DLC.
The DLC.
That was my favorite. Yeah.
I was going in the tunnel for the Muni to go home, and I'm like, watch my phone. Right as the connection goes out, it just says available now. I'm like, turn around. My Switch is back at the office.
Brendan sprinted back into the office, and he was like, I didn't even get my Switch. He's like, I gotta grab it and start the DLC tonight.
You were here in spirits.
I was, yeah. But I was very excited. I was very excited to see Captain Toad. I've been predicting that since the launch of the Switch, and I was really excited to learn more about Mario Tennis. I like Mario Tennis. This new version looks friggin' awesome, and of course, I've gotten some heat on this show for not being the biggest Smash supporter, but I have to admit that trailer did get me pretty excited.
Yeah.
Like that little teaser, it did get me pretty stoked. So.
Now, Perry, you brought up an interesting topic about Smash last week, where you kind of said that if this could be a new Smash, or now you're saying this is a new Smash, which I believe too as well. I didn't confirm that, but yeah, I think this is totally a new Smash. But you brought up an interesting topic, saying that this could be a Smash with a smaller roster, like initially when it launches, and then they could be bringing in new characters, consistently, like as we saw with sort of the Wii U version and Street Fighter V and stuff. So I'm wondering, could this Smash work or could Smash in general work as a game as a service? Yeah. Sort of along the lines of like Overwatch or Fortnite or Destiny.
I mean, I think Overwatch, like Nintendo sees the excitement, not only around its own Smash character reveals for DLC in the past, but also what's going on with Overwatch, where people go nuts over these intro trailers. I think it'd be hard for them to resist that they maybe start with a more focused roster and then have like immediately set the stage and saying like, and everybody on Nintendo's online service will get this character in the first month, and then you can buy him for $9.99 the next month or something. Like they gotta be doing this.
Yeah,
they got to be doing this.
You mentioned the online service. We know that it's coming in September. So is everybody here pretty much sold on the idea that Smash will also be a September launch?
I think it's going to be day and day.
It's going to be an online service.
I can't imagine that this doesn't launch alongside that service. Like, that's the way that you're going to get people to buy in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will launch day and day with the online service, but I don't think that it's their only like flagship or major game launching for the online service. I still think that there's a major announcement, like just the waiting on the horizon. We'll probably hear about it during E3.
Did we get an Octo X date? Was there a date attached to that big Splatoon update? Does anybody remember?
It was summer.
Okay.
Summertime.
So it'll be like just before E3, like last year, when it launched.
Yeah.
Right.
But that'll be single player. Wouldn't need.
Right. Yeah.
Online.
But I mean, I assume that single player stuff will feed into like a bigger multiplayer suite.
True.
As well.
Yeah. You get
playable Octolanes and multiplayer.
Yeah.
I'll play as an Octoling.
Well, I think you get the hairstyle. It's like you beat the single player and then you get the Octoling hairstyle.
Finally,
you're all about that.
Inkling boy or Inkling girl. Yeah, so it should be cool. I think it would be a pretty interesting idea for Nintendo to take that approach on Smash and just like make it a game as a service.
I really like that idea.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's a really cool way to sort of roll that out. Smash for Wii U, what did it launch in 2014? Is that right?
2014, yes.
Yeah, that was my
and then they continued support for up until like spring of 2016, summer 2016.
What year is it now?
I don't know. Okay. How can anyone know? So I think that given what they've done with coming out and saying like up front, like we will support Splatoon for a year of this and 2 years of this. Like I could easily see them coming out with Smash in September and being like, and be ready for X amount of support for the next however many years.
I would love it if it was a game as a service with free updates and you get characters over time. But they need to. Smash Brothers is a wonderful game to play on one screen with your friends, and I think because they want to drive online and they would love for this to be an esports title in the future, a big one for them. I can only imagine that they'll build in some sort of rewards and tie into the online plan. Don't you think?
I don't even mind paying a little extra for bigger updates as long as there's smaller stuff coming in between, like the way that they're doing with Splatoon.
That's what I think.
I think that it's really interesting that for a year they've supported Splatoon by being like, hey, guess what? There's new weapons, there's new arenas, there's new this and that.
And the same
and
for
now for this next big Splatoon update, they're charging, but it's like, okay, great. Like this is a second round. Like I'll buy into the kind of like in the same way that I know this is sort of an obscure callback, but kind of like in the same way that the Taken King was a bigger expansion on Destiny, the original Destiny, right? Like they dropped that in and totally retooled the mechanics, totally like built out an entire another quest, something like that.
And I feel like there are certain elements they could release to every player. Like if there was a new game mode or a new setting or something, it makes sense to not split the online community by releasing that to all. Whereas like having access to a character is very tantalizing to everybody playing it and encountering a character they don't have. The one thing that I feel like should be free this time around are the Mii costumes, which were just kind of. Remember that? Like,
they had like the ones like the characters you couldn't play as. Like, can't play as King K. Rool, but here's a little crown.
That to me is like a cute little thing they could toss in for people just to keep some of the excitement alive for free. But we'll see. I mean, that's going to be really interesting to see.
Also, having a shorter window and like a smaller, tighter character group allows Sakurai to like get the game out there and then like not have to rush make 40 characters by launch.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well now that we've done that, we can do these characters and give them the time they deserve.
Right, it becomes its like own platform, and I think that makes perfect sense for that series because they could, like with Splatoon, like what you were saying, Zach, like feed it these free updates that kind of tweak the mechanics and balance updates and stuff. But then at the same time, like release bigger updates. For instance, if we are getting Pokemon this year, like in 2018, maybe the first major character DLC will be the legendary Pokemon from that game.
Yeah.
Like that would make total sense. Like
Something along those lines. Yeah.
And I'd be okay with the game launching with like a roster of 12 to 16 fighters initially if I knew it would eventually grow out to like 50.
That's what I was just thinking. Like if they come out and they say, here's the starting roster of 12, and then they go November, this character, December, this character, January, ? February, ? And they show you, hey, every month you'll get a new character. I think then people won't be too upset. Then it will feel like, okay, they're in it for the long haul. I'm looking forward to like discovering the new characters. But if they come out and it just is a limited roster and they'll just not dangle anything in front of you, people would be really disappointed.
This is a bit of a stretch, but what if this teaser is like a sneak peek of their marketing and they do show off like in a sort of who's that Pokemon kind of way, like coming in March, and it's just like this silhouette, you know, you're going to have to guess. I think that'd be really
Jigglypuff.
cool. Yeah.
They could totally fake you out.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I wanted to touch on this a little bit. It's not exactly directly Nintendo related, but it's something that it's a game that a lot of people want on Switch right now. So Fortnite just released on mobile the other day.
Limited.
Yes,
Yeah,
limited release. It's kind of invite only
Do I have
right
it?
now.
No, I don't.
Yeah, so you can actually sign up for it right now if you go to, I believe it's Fortnite.com, just that. You can enter your email address. They'll hopefully send you a code. And if you're watching the video podcast right now, you can actually see some gameplay, some horrible gameplay from me taking it very late last night while I was playing the game.
But look at how good it looks.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah, it does. It looks awesome.
I'm surprised it works exactly the
Like
same
Fortnite,
as the console versions.
And it's crossplay.
yeah.
It's crossplay, with
So there were already videos making fun of mobile players when I am convinced you will see people who will be amazing at touchscreen play.
Did you watch yesterday's live stream? We had Steve.
Steph, yeah.
He just destroyed everybody.
Yeah, Steve, our streamer, our resident Fortnite expert, was already winning in the first match on mobile against a mixed group of people. So it's a good proof of concept that some crossplay can work really, really well.
I think this is really interesting because I've played a fair amount of Fortnite on console, and I know that this mobile version will only encourage me to play it, you know, like when I'm waiting for the bus and stuff like that. But I also love the idea of like if I'm killing time, popping it up and playing with like an 8-bit though controller, you know, like doing like a Bluetooth controller and playing against, you know, other consoles. But like just imagine what it would be like to maybe even this version ported to the Switch,
right?
Like an easy port. I think, man, I'd be super into it.
Absolutely. It's funny you brought up Steve too, because when he was playing yesterday on stream Fortnite, he was playing off his phone. He has, I believe, a 6 or a 6S. Yeah, and that's the lowest iPhone you can have right now that runs Fortnite. I'm playing, the footage you're seeing right now on screen is running off of an iPhone X. But
Which looks
fancy
awesome.
pants.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes. No.
So that's what we call Philip around these parts is fancy pants.
Yes, that's what I prefer. It's what I told everyone on my first
Flippy
day.
pants too.
Yeah.
It's Philip Fancy Pants Musin.
Right.
So he got, you know, victory royale off of an iPhone 6S, his very first match. I mean, yes, he is.
It was choppy. Like it looks choppy on that stream for sure. But this is insane. Like what this looks like on the X is nuts.
I mean, it is when you watch this and you see it running on a 6 Plus. There's no question that the Switch could run this.
Yeah.
Totally.
The Switch could do this justice. That even Wi-Fi, everything is ready for this game.
Yeah.
And like I gotta think Nintendo has been ringing that doorbell for a while. Fortnite went from being a game that everybody thought was going to be a flop.
Oh, yeah.
And then reinvented itself with, borrowing the Battle Royale mode.
Yeah.
And it's just been blowing up, and like you got to be part of this.
Biggest
Like
game in the world.
This cannot be Minecraft all over again when Nintendo platforms get it last. Well, I guess they would get it last,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but,
At this
but
point,
please
yeah.
not after the freaking
Maybe not 3 years later
links
this
and
time.
Engage. Come on,
Right.
get that on there.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see it.
You think Fortnite's coming to Engage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. all my Nokia friends tell me.
Right.
The Game
They're
Gear.
rebooting the company.
Remember how you talked on the phone?
Yeah,
like
that's
this?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the
Stupid console.
I had one of those for 5 days and then I returned it.
That's probably 5 days longer than anybody else had.
Yeah,
that.
that's how long.
I have one in that glass
I've seen
case
it.
at
Yeah.
IGN.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come on an IGN tour. You
Both
can see the
versions.
Engage. Yeah.
There are 2 versions. What a dumb machine.
You had to take the battery out to swap the game
Yes.
pack. Like, what that's so stupid. Sorry, Nokia fans.
At least they tried. I got to give
Yeah.
them credit for like trying to make awesome like mobile games.
There
you know what
was
I mean?
an attempt.
There's a
Yeah.
Tomb Raider game on there, I remember.
I like the
There's a
incentive.
Resident Evil game on there, I think.
There was, yeah. I had the Tomb Raider game.
You think either of those games are coming to Switch?
I don't know. Pear, so you went to the Labo event that was just here in San Francisco a couple days ago.
Oh, yes, Philip.
You've got your own.
I happen to
me.
be Labo certified.
You've got your
Thank you
own
very
certification there.
much. Oh, yeah.
Nicely
I was
done.
so jealous. We're going to put this.
Yes,
here.
let's mount it right here.
There you go. I did. I took the kids. Nintendo was kind enough to throw a Labo event.
Brian and
in
Max?
San Francisco. I took my kids, Brian and Max. And yeah, we had a really good time, man. They let us build the RC car and then the fishing rod.
Nice.
And my oldest son, who is 15, would not leave the room until he finished the fishing rod. They told us in the beginning, it's like, you'll need 2 hours. You're not going to be able to build it. And he just ignored everybody.
Yeah.
And like a Nintendo rep said, it's okay. Just go to the next thing. I'll watch him. And yeah, he finished the whole thing.
That's awesome.
It's really,
really cool.
They were all super into it.
How long did it end up taking him? Did he do it in under 2 hours?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
cool.
an hour and a half or something.
Yeah, we didn't get very far when I did it with my boy. Yeah, it took us like, I don't know, an hour, or they gave us an hour, and then we got to just the part of the actual rod itself. We didn't build the reel because the reel is actually pretty complicated. There's like a lot of moving parts in there, and it makes this really cool like snapping noise when you reel it up.
So that was the biggest surprise to me was, first of all, yes, it's all cardboard, right? There's some like grommets and rings that are made from plastic and rubber bands and all that. But like the core stuff is all plastic, is all cardboard. But how clever are they with the noisemaker elements and everything, right?
Yeah.
There's like when you build the fishing rod, there is like a slot that you put in this strip, this cardboard strip, just like you would attach like a playing card to a
bike.
bicycle.
Yeah.
And that makes the clicky noise. And they even have a spare part in the sheet that you can swap it out if it ever gets worn out.
Yeah.
So clever.
That's awesome.
You ever tied a playing card to your bike and
Yep.
pretended it was a motorcycle? Let us know.
Yep.
Yeah, so we just kind of wanted to go over, since Pear and I both have some experience with Labo, hands-on, we just wanted to talk a little bit about maybe some things that you guys might not be aware of and things that we think are especially cool about Labo. So the RC car, let's start right off the beginning. The RC car itself can actually see. Now, a lot of you guys might know this if you've been keeping track of Labo and sort of its advancements, but it actually utilizes the Joy-Con IR sensor in the right Joy-Con as a camera, and it sends a feed back to the Switch's tablet, so you can totally go like incognito and spy on your friends and stuff like that.
So I had heard about that feature, but like you can see it here where the actual
night vision?
remote control, it has two
Predator
vision
vision.
modes. So the actual remote control, so your Switch has the screen on it. And on the screen you can see this vision and how clear it is actually, considering it's an IR beam. And then you can tap on the screen to switch it to Predator mode, where like things that are closer to you are in a different color. Hey, look how cool that is! What a great use of IR. I was just surprised at all the stuff they came up with, and then you can see some of the versus games you can play, and like you have a bell and you hit it and a timer starts, and they spent a lot of time making the software really experimental and cool.
Yes, totally. I guess we'll. Okay. So the next one that we want to talk about is the motorcycle, which is really cool. So obviously we've seen the motorcycle Toy-Con with the handlebars, and it's fun, and you play the little Mario Kart style game where you're driving around with motion controls. But it actually has an additional part that a lot of people don't know about, and it's the Toy-Con scanner. And have you heard of this at all?
No.
It's very cool. It also uses the Joy-Con IR sensor, and it looks like a little gun. You're going to see it pop up on screen right now if you were watching the video. And what you can do is you can actually scan real-world objects into the game.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can like put your hand out and scan your hand, and then your hand terraforms into the stadium.
Terraforms.
Yeah, it literally terraforms the stadium. Yeah, so it's really, really interesting. I mean, I can see people scanning like the most random things, like making some hilarious tracks.
Oh boy.
Which is
Oh God.
Oh boy.
did they let you mess
had
with that
to
thing
say
at
it.
all?
No, I didn't see the scanner and didn't see the little bike thingy here.
Right, that's another one.
I got to play the motorbike, and I was just struck by how clever and how many different functions there are on it. I didn't realize it had a starter.
Yeah.
Like it has a manual, like physical starter you have to push in, and that you twist the handle just like in a real motorbike.
Like handbrake on there. That's really cool.
And then you can see the kind of custom designed level here where they terraform. Like that kind of level of detail was what I didn't expect. That I thought everything was going to be very limited, but even the core motorcycle game has like different modes. You've got the balloon chase where you can set new records. You've got versus and all that. Yep.
Yeah, and the mini motorcycle,
impressive.
itself, you can actually use that with motion controls and draw like a circuit track in the air, like in real time, which is hilarious and sounds kind of fun. I just hope it works well.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much a science.
It's a lot of variables.
Right? Like every sheet, every package is a science kit for you to just mess around with and find new things.
Yeah, exactly. One additional note about the fishing rod thing as well. So you can catch fish and that's fun. That's all great fun.
It has line tension.
Yeah, it has line.
No kidding.
Yep.
It has line tension, which adds real world realism in there. But you can also make your own custom fish, which is fun.
The hand?
You can use your hand.
Terraforms your hand into an awful fish.
So they didn't actually let us know, they didn't let me know any details about how to you make the custom fish, but you can see they give hints in the trailer.
I think they use the piano.
Yeah, the piano is involved in some way. I know that.
Like that. See? So they skid it into the top slot of the piano and that reads it.
Okay. All right. That
Isn't that
makes
nuts?
sense. Yeah, so they actually interact with each other. Like these games, you can use them
That's
for
super cool.
other things. Yeah. So
And then you can. There was one sad fish swimming around with the eye outside the body. It was very, very sad.
Look at that man.
Yeah. But again, like another thing where like you're incentivized to use one thing for the other, and they obviously come in the same package, so it's not like they're trying to upsell you on another kit. But it's just like you finish this one thing and you played with the piano, and then you do this, and you realize, oh, I can use the piano now for this new kit too.
yes, and on the subject of the piano, you can also record your own music, which I guess we all kind of expected. But something I did not expect is that you can actually use the vibration of the Joy-Con to make music. Like they emit sound. You can actually hear the humming, and they have their own pitch, their tonal pitch. Oops.
Just based on the repetition, the vibration. Yeah.
So in my demo, they had built a little cardboard box as an amplifier, and then put the Joy-Con on top, and then you take a plug. There are 4 plugs for the piano, right?
Yeah.
And the 4th one, you insert it into the piano. It makes the piano silent, so nothing comes out of the speaker, and instead the Joy-Con makes the music. So you can go like with the Joy-Con buzzing.
Wow.
Yeah, and
So
again,
you're saying that it records the audio, the actual audio of the Joy-Con buzzing, or the Joy-Con emits?
No, the Joy-Con
sound?
vibrates at different frequencies,
Okay.
and with your little amplifier, you can hear it more.
Neat, yeah.
And it's just like, I'm sure you've seen those YouTube videos where people use like printers or scanners to play like the Legend of Zelda theme and stuff, and there may be a secret in an upcoming Nintendo game that uses buzzing for sounds too. And
Do you know something we don't?
I think someone here might know something we don't about that.
Well, I don't want to spoil it for people who want to discover it, but they've been a couple of experiments with buzzing, rumble emitting noise, even in Golf Story where you can hear the sounds, the sound effects when you're playing.
Yeah, very cool. But the most advanced Toy-Con of them all, as Nintendo proclaims it, is the robot kit. And that obviously is sold separately, and it has some really, really interesting features that I also was not expecting. I mean, I got a chance to play the robot kit. I put the suit on. Did you put the suit on?
No, I made my kids do it so that nobody could take compromising pictures of me.
Oh, man, I would have loved to see you wear that suit.
In the green and yellow jumpsuit.
Yeah. But what's cool about the robot kit is it obviously has these like VR style mission games, which are really interesting. They're kind of reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid, the VR missions, I think. Just the way they look aesthetically, not the way they play at all.
Okay.
I don't think it's a stealth game at all.
Yeah, crouch mode.
Yeah, there's cool. Like, so you use your different what do they call them? Poses. So you put your body in different poses. I think like if you extend your arms from side to side like this, you become like a giant robot, which is cool. If you crouch, you transform into your car. Yep. Yeah, so we've seen stuff like that, but as you can see right now on screen, you can actually customize the robot like by plugging these bolts into the side of the backpack
those bolts
and twisting it. Yeah, which is really cool. It's such a fun idea to like actually bring real world like elements and movements to involve customization. I think kids are gonna love this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And that was, I mean, my impression, like, apart from building the stuff, which is really fun, because the Nintendo, like, the software that teaches you is really well made. You can rotate things on screen. All of that process is fun, but then just experimenting with it and figuring out how it works is so cool, because they use these reflective stickers to mark positions, right? Yeah. Even like the fact that you have cardboard plugs that tell your Switch what is inserted, just that kind of connection and how they forge it is just really, really impressive.
Yeah.
It's
was it durable?
Huh? The piano is not. I felt like the piano, I was a little disappointed that the keys, like if you, I play piano, maybe I play it too vigorously, but the keys can pop out easily, but everything else was very durable, and like the constructions are very durable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Herr Amadeus Schneider over here.
Another cool thing about the robot kit, just before we move on, it's really cool. If you have an additional kit, you can actually play a robot fighting game mode, which is awesome.
Rock'em Sock'em robot action. That's that's so funny, because that's what I assumed that would be seeing that first trailer.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, like just going hands-on with it, my big worry was fun to build and then nothing to do with these things. And my fears were definitely conquered a bit by seeing just all the options and the experimentation.
Yeah.
The motorcycle game is not Mario Kart. It doesn't have that level of depth, but there's way more to it with the customized tracks and everything.
Yeah.
And it does feel cool. The whole tilt and everything works really well.
Pop a wheelie and stuff. It's fun. Yep. I think Labo is going to be very, very cool. I think it's going to be picked up by a lot of kids and adults alike, probably adults mostly out of interest, but if you do get it, you'll probably be able to realize pretty quickly why it's so charming and so fun, as Per and I both did, I think.
Go ahead. My 16-year-old daughter, after the thing, I said, okay, so are we going to get just one of these kits? And my daughter's like, no, I need all of them. I'm like, even you? Like, I understood like the 12-year-old, but nope. All three of my kids want both of the kits.
House of 1,000 Labo kits.
Yeah. Oh, for crying
Nintendo's going to bankrupt you before the end of the year.
Stop it.
I'm interested. I'm excited to have Labo in the office. Like I'm assuming that we'll get some of those kits and have them built here. I might personally like invest in a couple of the smaller ones just to like test it out, but I don't know that I'm like fully all in on it. I think it's really interesting. I'm not really 100% sure that it's for me.
You gotta love building stuff. It definitely is not. You don't buy it for the games. You buy it for the building and the kind of experimentation.
Totally.
If you like Lego Technic and you build like their airplane or their like big one of the like the construction equipment, you're like, oh, it's cool how they pull that off. That's who they're targeting.
It's also a great jumping off point for kids to get into that kind of field.
Engineering and things like that. Yeah.
STEM.
And then all the customization and the programming stuff, right? Like there's like a simple version of Scratch built into this, right? Like the simple programming tools for people who want to be game designers. So
I love the idea of
statements and everything.
I love the idea of like somebody building something in Scratch, composing the music on the Labo piano. Like I think it's really cool that you could build essentially your own experience within these tools.
Yep.
So that's really cool to me.
Yep. Yeah, and they're encouraging kids to be even more creative beyond that, like with the Toy-Con Garage aspect of it, because like kids are gonna build the variety kit, they're gonna build the robot kit, and they'll have their fun with it, but it doesn't stop there with what they give you. Like you can reprogram the piano to be the remote control for the RC car, you know what I mean, and create your own custom Labo kits. So I think that's really cool.
Well, what are they offering for stupid children?
Stupid
babies need the most attention.
Box. Each sheet has pretty little stylized graphics on it, and you can actually there's the fishing rod themed have like little hidden sharks and stuff. So like
there you go.
If you ever had kids, you could make them
I might just
find the shark.
I might just find that shark.
Sounds wonderful. All right,
I'll just take the box.
All right. Well, yes, we're excited about Labo. We hope you are too. It's coming out April 20th, in case you're wondering. So yeah. What else is happening April 20th? Anything else?
Oh, Blaze It.
That's right. Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward into our games, our new game releases for the week, and what we've been playing. But I want to start it off with our pick of the week, which is definitely Kirby Star Allies. Our reviewer Brendan Graber here.
Happy.
Yes, has played through the entirety of it. You put a score on it, and we want to hear your thoughts about it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Let's go.
This is probably my favorite Kirby game of all time.
Really?
More than Robobobobot?
More, which I also reviewed. That was it's a steady 8.
Yeah.
Any great, and this was my 8.3. It's a little bit better than greatness.
Yeah.
I think like some of my favorite games were Robot, Love Crystal Shards, Superstar.
Canvas Curse.
Canvas Curse was.
I like Canvas Curse.
It was fun for me. That was more like a
That's
good.
the one for stupid children.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's all right. I'll take that. Yeah.
But I was very surprised about how the multiplayer works. Like seeing 4 people on the screen, like, oh, it's gonna be one of those Federation Force, Triforce heroes. Like if you're playing alone, you're out of luck. But they're so responsive that it feels like you have friends even when you don't. And having friends makes it even better. They're very responsive to puzzles. They'll like if you have a flame ally and you see like an ice enemy or an ice puzzle, they'll go, oh, I can solve this. Hang on, and they'll come over and help you. Nice. Or you can just take control of them. You can get the ability for yourself. Kirby can like you can jump on them to like basically piggyback and like manually control them. You can combine these powers, and the way they combine are really hilarious. Like there's just like the natural like if you have a sword, you lift it up, and then the flame guy go, oh, I'll light that up for you. So he like infuse it with elemental powers. But there are other ones too. One of my favorite ones is the sweeper ability or the sweeper copy ability. You can like sweep your broom to like do wind effects. You can throw your bucket, but you can also hold up a vacuum cleaner, and everyone jumps into the vacuum cleaner. And you just shoot it off all across the screen. I do think the demo doesn't do it justice.
Okay,
Right.
fair enough. I've only played the demo. My impression from the multiplayer was that I had fun, but I felt like it was zoomed in so close.
Too tight.
Yeah.
That I got flashbacks to Kirby Air Ride, like some games that felt like they were almost playing themselves a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But because of also when you're playing in single player, there are all these helpers and they're all running around. You're
Right.
like, am I beating this game or are they beating this?
They'll follow your lead, but
Yeah.
they won't charge in ahead.
Right.
They'll wait for you, and like Kirby is the only character that they tie to. So if you run off the stage, they'll teleport over to where he is.
Yeah.
If they try to run off, if you have a friend playing and they run off somewhere, they can't go farther than where Kirby is.
Yep.
So he's still like the master of his domain, but like the way they interact is, I think, a lot better, especially as the game progresses. I think the first level, they have like those mandatory like tutorial tooltip loading screens that take like 8 seconds. And then once you're off of that first area, then they go away. Then it opens up. So the puzzles are not hugely challenging.
And that's okay. I mean, there can be games for people who are not looking for high skill difficulty.
Right.
Like I always liked that the Kirby games existed for more beginning players.
Yeah, and
Right.
like I don't think there's anything wrong with like not looking for a challenge. I think some of the hidden rooms were like fun to find.
Yeah.
And then the puzzles are like, oh, that's pretty cool how that works out. But it's not like this is a real brain stumper. Like maybe by the end of the game, there's a couple.
that's-
But
That's what I was
but
gonna
it
ask.
does have the layers. Like it does get a little bit more difficult, so that it's
Only by like the very end, where
Okay.
it's like I think I was playing over with some people, and we're like, okay, how do we do this one? And we're like,
Right.
okay, well, if I use this ability and you go over here, then maybe this will work. We'll try this one. Okay, no, you come over here and I'll give you this ability. Okay, this one works.
Well, like Per was saying, historically, like Kirby games have never really been challenging, and I don't think you really buy a Kirby game for the challenge of it. But this game does have different difficulty level settings, right? Like
Only in the boss rush mode, which
Okay.
you unlock post game. I think the last couple Kirby games have had that too.
Now, did you find like how many difficulties are there? Do you remember?
36
There's a couple
levels
of
of
them.
difficulty.
I remember you were looking through the menu, and there's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 at least, maybe more than that.
I think you start off with like 5, and then they also have another post game mode, which is like the speedrun mode,
Right.
Where you just kind of go play like the highlights of each section. If you beat that, you can some more difficulty modes. If you beat that highest one, you get like the ultra soul burner one.
Right.
I love how like they do it by like curry settings. So there's like mild spicy adventure, just like soul burning like hellscape difficulty. But even then, I think it's challenging. But you can also revive your allies.
Okay.
So it's like there was points like, okay, ordinarily I'd be done if this was like an actual like all-star Smash Brothers style boss rush thing. But I can just go like, oh, revive you, and we're back in the fight. He gets half his health back. So it wasn't like insanely challenging for me.
Yeah. One of the things that I really liked about Robobot and Yoshi's Woolly World, especially, were the later stages were really tough if you chose to like pursue them, right? Like Robobot wasn't hard at all, but the finding those like final cubes in the last stages was really challenging. And some of the stuff on Woolly World, especially like the curtain level, do you remember that? Like crazy, gnarly, like really tough. Is there anything like that? Like
there's a couple
hidden
like,
stuff like that in this game?
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden worlds. You have to find switches to open. And then some of those hidden worlds in the last areas are pretty fun, pretty challenging.
Yeah.
The speedrun mode goes through some of them as well, like some of the best highlights of them. They also have these really great like team attack things you can do. You turn into like a friend train, and you just steamroll through, and it like will go up along walls. It's like a better Sonic game than Sonic at some points. Because you're moving so fast and just destroying everything in your path. And like
Sonic fans, that's at Raga Fraga with 2 G's, 4 G's. Yeah. Also, as a stupid child with no friends, will it be fun for me to play this game solo, or do I need to play it multiplayer?
I played the majority of it solo, and I still had a lot of fun.
Okay.
I think it's a lot funner. It was like it's a good party game.
Yeah.
Like if you have people over, just like, hey, you just want to like screw around with Kirby for a bit.
Yeah.
Instant drop in and drop out too, which is great.
I really like that.
Very,
that ability.
very smoothly done.
I've seen, we have this sort of big game station set up over by Pear's desk where people are playing the latest stuff. And when Kirby was, when we got Kirby in the office, you and I and Casey DeFreitas and a couple people were playing through a few levels. And I really liked how it was so easy for people to drop in and drop out.
Yeah, you just really like, okay, Joy-Con, okay, I'm in. Yeah. And then like, oh, I gotta go, bye. And then like you just go back to computer opponent and you're fine.
Yep.
I also like if Kirby is by himself and has an ability and you need someone else to be with you, the player will come out of his hat basically, and you'll take over that ability. And then like when he leaves, you can just swallow and cannibalize the computer and take your ability back.
Now,
you can't cannibalize other
Games are
players,
getting dark.
one of the things that I've heard a lot of people talking about in this Kirby game is that Kirby's run around doing a lot of kisses on his friends. And have you heard any of this conversation?
Throwing hearts at people and stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
it's not throwing hearts,
like,
but when
it's
you
like
get
a weird like baby bird situation where he's turning around and kissing on his friends.
when you get health packs, like the person who grabs it gets the health, but then they can share the love by giving a little smooch to someone else.
Ooh, that's cute.
Give some health back.
But this has also been a part of the Kirby franchise for a while. I think it's funny that people are picking up on it with this game. They're like, what's he doing smooching all these people?
I think Kirby is darker than most people realize. If Kirby existed in the real world and was throwing smooches right and eating people on the left, you'd probably have a little bit more respect for him.
Maybe.
Even if he's easy.
Right.
There's an odd duality with Kirby.
Yep.
Like there's like the really cutesy facade he puts on, but then usually like the plot, it's very thin, but the plot of every Kirby game is like there's like some like ancient evil galactic eating power, and then Kirby's just like, well, I'm gonna destroy all life until I can stop this thing because why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat fools and poop out stars.
And then like always like I don't want to spoil like the bosses in this game, like the later stage bosses.
Is it a tree?
Like you played Robobot, like the final bosses are always just like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, Robobot turns into a completely different game at the end.
Yeah,
it's
like
insane.
they did that with was that Crystal Shards, which I love. Like if you beat the game, it's like, okay, there's this cool dark matter guy, but if you got all the shards, like 02 shows up and like this bleeding eyeball, and it turns like this like shooter, like like you're flying around. Like every time it's like, oh, it's a cute game. What is that? Why is there some galactic like Cthulhu monster trying to kill us?
Yeah.
Oh man, Kirby is fun. I'm excited to actually start playing it today because it's out today, March 16th. So definitely make sure you check it out if you're interested. It's our pick of the week, and I cannot wait to jump in and play some multiplayer with you guys. So
Sweet, yeah, that'll be really cool.
Fun. Yeah. So another game that came out earlier this week is a game called Flint Hook. Excuse me. Yes, and now this game originally came out on Steam and PS4 a little while ago, and it's available on Switch now, which is really cool. It's a game that I've been playing for a couple weeks. It's really cool. It's nice having this portably. I never had it. I never played it on PS4, but I was talking about it with Brian, who did play it on PS4, and he was super excited when he heard that it was coming to Switch, because this is a game that really is kind of made for like taking it on the go, quick play sessions, drop in, drop out kind of stuff. It's a roguelike, which is really fun. I love roguelikes, and it's very, very action-based, as you can see. It's kind of got a twin-stick shooter element to it. It's got some time manipulation stuff, too, where you can slow down time. Yep. But my favorite mechanic, as you can see, is the hook shot, which you use throughout the entire game. It's like your main weapon, essentially, next to your gun.
Yeah, I've played a little bit of Flint Hook, and it does add some really cool locomotion. Like the ability to chain between these hooks and stuff with your flint hook, it makes navigating these levels really fun and often really challenging.
Yeah, I played it as well, and it's definitely one of the better kind of retro style games on the Switch. So if you're looking for something in the style of like the 16-bit classics, it looks pretty, and absolutely love the motion. Like once you figure out how to use the hook the right way, you can just go ching 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 ching, string together things, attack people while falling, and then like save yourself before you hit a spike strip, for example. It's really it's a really well tweaked game, kind of like Celeste and some of the best indies on the platform.
Weirdly, I didn't get into this game as much as I did Enter the Gungeon, but it gave me like weird Enter the Gungeon vibes in terms of the power curve. Like the better you get at the game, the more power. Like this game really makes you feel powerful the better you get at it. Yep. Like you're saying, like the ability to whiz around these flint hooks and like shoot enemies at the same time and grab items. Like you really feel like, oh, I've gotten much better at this game like very quickly. So
I think like this game, Enter the Gungeon, and then Owlboy's coming too. Like those
Owlboy's
are like those are like the perfect like. I'm so glad these are on Switch.
And Owlboy is great.
Yeah, like they all look beautiful. They all play like in that really great style. They pick up and play and then turn off for a while.
We're gonna run out of like classic indies. Like
they're always making more.
The amount of titles still that's coming is just crazy. And like by the time you watch this, we'll be close to another Nindy presentation from Nintendo for GDC.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Yep, that's true. It's right
even more.
But another game as well that came out earlier this week, it's similar style, sort of action-y type experience, but it's not a roguelite. It's called Bleed 2. Now, this game works similarly, like I was saying. It's a twin-stick shooter, but it's an action game. It's very linear. You're going from point A to point B constantly.
Like Cannibal style, like Endless Runner?
Not an Endless Runner, no. It does have levels.
Just more linear, like side-scroll.
Exactly. Like, so if you're watching the video podcast, you can see like there's smaller enemies on screen appearing, but this game is really based around boss fights. There's so many boss fights in this game. It's like you play these 2 to 3 minute long segments with these, smaller type enemies, and then you run into a boss. And then you might play another segment right after that, the last 30 segments of just getting to the next boss, and then the next boss has come. So it feels like a really cool boss rush mode.
And are they clever, or are they, like, how are the bosses?
Yeah, they're tough. Like, each one of them works very differently, and they all have their own, specific way to be taken down. And there's this really cool mechanic, like your character has a gun, which is obviously very handy, but she also has some sort of like an electric katana that she can reflect back bullets, and that's really, really fun to do. I feel like the next Star Wars game that uses lightsabers needs to like implement reflecting like blasters back with this, because it's like you essentially have to flick the thumbstick at the right time in order to get that reaction back, and it's difficult. It's not easy, especially when you've got like 1,000 bullets flying at you.
Do the bosses get bigger, or are they all kind of like this size?
No. They get bigger. Yeah, like like the boss that you just saw me take down was the first boss in the game, but like later on you get to fight tanks and helicopters. It becomes like one of those over the top arcade style games, from back in the day. But one thing that I'd love to say too is it's really it's pretty forgiving with the checkpoint system. The game itself has difficulty levels. You could play easy, you could play hard, and if you're playing on hard, it's very hard.
Yeah.
But like I said, checkpoints are pretty forgiving, so it's one of those games that makes you want to keep trying until you actually get through the next boss.
I like the Ganon tennis element.
Yeah.
I always like games that do Ganon tennis.
Yeah, tennis. It's very cool. Another game that came out earlier this week, or is it out yet? I believe it's out.
Tokitori 2?
Yeah, I think it's out. Yeah, it's a puzzle game. Puzzle platformer, yes, that was also available on PS4, I believe, or no, Wii U. Excuse me. Oh, Wii U, yes.
It's been on a few platforms.
So this is a Wii U port, and it's adorable. It's a very, very
rare look to it.
It's a very relaxing game to play, which I found. I wasn't expecting this game to be as relaxing as it was, just because initially learning out the mechanics for me, I never played it on Wii U. It was a little frustrating, just kind of get these crab guys to move around and build these platforms for me. me.
Yeah, if you just started and you recorded this as you started, like you get very familiar with kind of the whistling power and being able to like influence creatures or the elements. This I remember playing this when it first came out, and I was struck too by just the care that went into the look and the mechanics. Like a game like Captain Toad, it has very clear limitations as to what the bird can do, and so you got to work with like you really got to look at when a passage is blocked at kind of like the limitations of your abilities and how to overcome them.
Reminds me of those old
really
Load
good
Runner games. Those old Load Runner games. Like platform
Load Runner is a
puzzles.
great comparison. Yeah.
Right.
I always love those.
It's like a pretty slow moving game, but that's not bad. I think
It's methodical.
Actually, it's paced perfectly. I think I haven't run into any enemies that like can hurt you during my gameplay. So I don't know if that exists in the game.
Who'd want to hurt a little?
Yeah, but I feel like it doesn't need to. And the puzzles are actually pretty clever initially. So I definitely think it's worth checking out if you're into these style games. But if you've never been into these style games, then probably not going to win you over.
It's going to be a no for me.
It's a hard no.
Not a
from Zach.
big puzzle fan. I love
like this. I mean, I like Puyo Puyo Tetris. I like
Battle Chef.
I love Battle Chef.
Try Tumblestone too.
Yeah.
Tumblestone
Tumblestone hurts very hard.
It gets very hard later, but the beginning is more like your kind of
Stupid child
level.
game. Yeah. Okay.
So try that too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So another game that is now available on Switch is a game called Castle Heart, which is fun. It's a 2D action game, kind of trying to be reminiscent of Dark Souls.
Looks like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Also, kind of like that Ghosts and Goblins feel.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a Ghosts and Goblins feel to it. Not as difficult, not nearly as difficult.
Did you you played this? This is Castle of Heart?
Yeah, Castle of Heart. I did play it.
It's a mobile game. This is a mobile game?
It probably could have been a mobile game.
Yeah.
Probably should have been a mobile game.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean,
It's okay. Is it bad? It's okay to say if it's bad.
I don't want to say it's bad because it's not bad. It's just it's a hard okay. Like I would give it if I was rating it right now.
Hard okay. Philip Music.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
That's right.
yeah, exactly. So if you're really desperate for something to play and you're like super waiting for Dark Souls, maybe pick this one up. But at the same time, like the gameplay is completely different from Dark Souls. Like you're just gonna get aesthetics here. You're gonna get hand-to-hand sword combat. There's a couple fun puzzle elements to it. Like the physics in the game are really cool. A lot of the environments are destructible. Like you can break through walls and get into houses.
This looks awful.
Which is interesting. Yeah. But it's when I see games like this pop up on the eShop and like the next one that we're going to talk about too, it sort of makes me question like Nintendo's mentality of like, what are we, allowing? Are we just letting everything on the eShop? You know what I mean? Which is fine. Like there's a place for things like this, but I feel like we've begun to notice this like degradation or whatever, like inequality.
Back into the Wii era of shovelware.
Right, exactly. And it's not like there's any like lack of developers wanting to jump on Switch. I just feel like Nintendo maybe...
Which is interesting because before the Switch launched last March, Jose and I went to a preview event for like one of the early Nindy events. And part of their presentation to us was how carefully curated the eShop would be in this generation of Nintendo hardware. So it's interesting to me that there's stuff that like is aggressively okay. I feel like that's probably the lowest that they would go, or hopefully. But I mean, we've also seen.
Have you played Vroom?
No, so that's what I'm saying. Like we've also seen some real bad games.
A couple of stinkers slipped through for sure, but like it's also I think difficult when you're running a program like this. There's no Nintendo seal of approval anymore, but like a program like this, you sometimes see a game early on and you see the promise and, hey, this may fill a gap in a genre that's missing from the platform. So I can see how they would still encourage games to get through, even if they are not top of the field, just to have a wide variety of games. Yeah. But I mean, luckily we've got Philip and Brian, who will play all these games for us and warn us if something is hard okay.
Hard okay.
Now, the next game, I definitely don't think you should pick it up. I'm here to give you guys a hard PSA on this one.
What? Keep going.
All right. So, Coffin Dodgers came out on
Skip of the Week.
The skip of the week. There you
like
go.
That. We should implement
That's pretty
that.
good. Yeah.
Skip of the week.
I mean,
look at this guy.
If you love Garfield Kart, which actually exists,
then you should get Garfield Kart and not get this game because Garfield Kart is probably better.
Who doesn't want to play a bunch of old people on rollers?
No, it's
trying to escape mortality.
I feel like this game feels like a student project for people who just learned how to sort of draw in 3D and write physics.
Wow.
I don't want to be too harsh.
I don't know that you can get much harsher than that.
No. I mean, it's not.
It's a learning experience.
It's not terrible. Like I can see the vision, the idea, but it just doesn't feel like it's finished. There's a ton of glitches. Like it's very, very sloppy, and the content that is available, like the tracks, for instance, are just so dry.
You just play as senior citizens?
Yeah, all right, so let me quickly explain the story to this game. Or story of this game to you guys. Yeah, there's a story mode in this game that takes you through levels and stuff.
Isn't it kind of like Diddy Kong Racing, where it's like an overworld where you just like go to the...
No,
I heard someone say that. I don't know if that's true.
They probably wish they had an overworld, but they couldn't do that. No, what this game is, essentially death comes to visit a neighborhood of senior citizens and threatens to take their souls because it's all, it's their time to go,
Sure.
I guess. And so they challenge him.
As want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So, they challenge him to a mobility scooter race or a kart
They're
race.
just killing each other.
Yeah, and that's literally the story. It's just a bunch of old people racing death.
Also, I'm pretty sure he picked up a gun at one point. That seems very
One thing about this game that I do like are the pickups. The pickups are pretty interesting. There's like an Uzi that you can just pick up.
Why?
Can you look at the nonsense timer in the
Yeah.
upper left, like the way it counts up? Did you really have
What
to
is it
show?
counting in?
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's counting like that.
Minutes, seconds, and frames.
I mean, I get it. Small indie team, right? Working on a kind of Mario Kart like, but the problem is once you put that on the platform with Mario Kart 8.
Also, I just don't think anyone has ever wanted to race as senior citizens.
Hey, speak for yourself. Some of us are a little older.
No, yeah, this is the.
We can be heroes.
I almost made that joke.
Yeah, I would definitely say skip this one.
Skip of the week.
Yeah, skip of the week for sure. Yes. But we have just enough time for question block this week, and I'm really excited that we got some great questions. Thank you guys so much for sending your questions in, and you can definitely send them in to us via our email, nvc@ign.com. You can get in touch with us on Twitter. We're NVC Podcast on Twitter. If you're not in the Facebook group, we've got an awesome Facebook community, 10,000 plus strong. So definitely look us up there, and we're always down to hear your thoughts. But this week's question comes from Michael M via nvc@ign.com. Michael says, hey NVC gang, I wanted your opinion on if the 3DS or 2DS XL is still worth it or not. I have owned a Switch since day one and absolutely love it, but I'm sorely missing the Virtual Console, and there are quite a few N64 and GameCube games that have been remade for the 3DS. What is your opinion? What should I do? I really want to play some of these games, and diminishing every time I hear... And my expectancy of Nintendo actually releasing a Virtual Console for Switch is diminishing every time I hear an announcement like the original Luigi's Mansion is being remade for Nintendo 3DS. Thanks so much for the great show. Keep it up. Thanks, Michael M.
Tough one. I'll tell you what I think, but go ahead, Zach.
I think the 3DS is one of the greatest systems of all time, and I think there's absolutely merit in purchasing one.
It's also cheaper than ever.
It's super cheap. You can there's the 2DS XL bundle, the Zelda bundle, I think is $79.
Yep.
And that's a awesome system with backwards compatibility to the DS for $80 that comes with one of the greatest games of all time to start with, and you can also access the DS Virtual Console library that has a bunch of Super Nintendo games. It has a bunch of Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance games. Like you can play a bunch of that stuff on your 2DS or 3DS if that's what you want to get. But also, I don't think necessarily that we should count out the idea that Nintendo is not doing Virtual Console on Switch.
That's true, but I also think
I didn't say that very eloquently, but you catch what I'm saying.
Oh, it was good, yeah.
Looking back on the Wii U, when they did have their Virtual Console stuff, it wasn't like, hey, here's 500 games, everyone you ever wanted. It was like a very slow release. Every other week, it was like, okay, well, here's Mario Party 2, and okay, well, here's Super Metroid. Like, it wasn't like everything you wanted all at once. So there's probably going to be like, Luigi's Mansion is not going to come to the Switch if ever, for a very long time.
I do it.
Yeah. So here's my advice. If you've owned a Switch since day one, you know how much you use it and you know how many games you play. Do you still have time to play other games? Because I feel like when I look back at the 3DS, I'm so happy I own not one, many. I've had this platform. amazing games, like just Zelda, Mario franchise alone, worth owning, playing these games, fantastic games. Metroid recently released. You're probably not going to see this on the Switch either. That said, I'm now at a point where I don't think I would have the time to play a lot of 3DS games that I missed, even going back, because there's so much coming out on Switch, so much on the other platforms if you own those
Want to play
too.
Bravely Default? I got the game. Zach didn't want it.
So look at, think about how many games you play on the Switch and whether you ever go, oh, there's nothing left to play. I need to go back to some of the classics. If the answer is yes, 3DS is a freaking amazing lineup.
Yeah, I completely agree with each one of you. Pear, you bring up a great point. I mean, the library on 3DS is amazing.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's got so many great games, and we're still going to get games on it well into 2019, apparently, it looks like. Yeah. So Nintendo does have a vision for the 3DS. It's still alive. It's still kicking, whether we like it or not. But, most of us do seem to like it. So, yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, before we move on to the next question, whether we like it or not is something that I want to address, because I see a lot of people in the comments saying things like, oh, I wish you wouldn't say things about, oh, why is it coming to 3DS and not Switch? And I wanted to address that. Obviously, we have a lot of love for the 3DS. It's one of my favorite systems of all time. I think that the idea that we want everything for Switch is just because we love the Switch so much, and that's what we've been using and taking with us for the last year. Exactly. I will occasionally take my 3DS on a work trip, but not nearly with the frequency that I take my Switch anymore. So that's why. Yeah. It's not a knock against the 3DS. I think it's a
tough
phenomenal
to pack two systems. We're all members of the NSA, the National Switch Association.
I take my Switch, I take my Vita, I take my 3DS, and then I take my my old PS1 with the little flip up screen. I gotta have options when I'm on the road.
Phone just for Fortnite.
That's right. Yeah, and my Fortnite.
I mean, the Vita. I own a Vita too, and I owned a PSP before that, and the Vita fell victim to the 3DS. I kept on not bringing the Vita on trips, even though there were good games on it.
Yeah.
And that's the same with the Switch.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that's our show this week. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. We're a weekly show on IGN.com, but you can also catch us on YouTube.com/Nintendo Voice Chat or any of your favorite podcast listening services. Apparently, we're on Spotify now.
Wonderful.
Yes, which is random
Get us
and crazy.
Tune in too.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you watch. Send in your questions every week. Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next week. Take care.